Stop thinking like a mechanic and start thinking like a leader. In the world of enterprise architecture, we're often taught that success is a set of rigid blueprints and strict pass-fail rules. But here's the truth. Complex systems don't fail because of the tech. They fail because of the people. Are you tired of being seen as a tech cop or a bureaucratic roadblock? When we focus solely on enforcing standards, we get the bare minimum. We get friction, broken rules, and missed opportunities. But there is a better way. This course is your guide to winning hearts and minds. We're moving beyond the no and learning how to drive behavior. You'll discover how to find the psychological sweet spot where doing the right thing becomes the easiest path for your team. Through the tales of architects like Addison and Ambrose, you'll learn how to transform from a policy enforcer into an essential partner in growth. We'll show you how to identify the real barriers, like ecosystem friction and legacy debt, and how to build bridges that actually lead to the finish line. Don't just build a standard, build a community that wants to follow it. Join us as we explore the human side of strategy and learn why behavior beats enforcement every single time. Let's get started. Enterprise architecture is often seen as a world of rigid blueprints and policing software, but the most successful organizations know it's really about managing people. We need to shift from the old way, acting as tech cops managing machines, to the new way, acting as behavioral guides. When we treat compliance like a simple pass or fail exam, we only get the bare minimum. We settle for the floor, which prevents chaos but doesn't guarantee quality. To reach the ceiling, optimum compliance, we have to actively drive desired behavior. How do we do that? First, define what good actually looks like. Then, identify and break down the specific barriers standing in your team's way, whether that is a lack of training or clunky internal processes. By creating a positive environment that makes doing the right thing the easiest path, people will actively want to reach for optimum results. It's about winning hearts and minds, not just checking boxes. Breaking down barriers. Why people break the rules. When we see that standard procedures aren't being followed, it's a critical moment for organizational introspection. Our first imperative is to understand the problem. It is essential to remember that skilled engineers rarely circumvent rules out of malice or spite. Rather than assuming insubordination, architects and leaders must adopt an inquiry-based approach to determine why these established norms are being bypassed. Through this investigation, we can identify 5 common and distinct barriers that impede compliance. First, simple ignorance. The individual may genuinely not be aware that the standard exists. Second, familiarity. They may find old tools faster and more comfortable than new mandates. Third, legacy debt. The project may predate the standard, making adaptation functionally complex or cost prohibitive. Fourth, ecosystem friction. Clunky internal infrastructure can make following the rules exceedingly difficult. And finally, a lack of fit. The engineer believes the standard actually hinders the optimal solution for their specific technical challenge. Effective architects, therefore, do not simply react by shouting the rules louder when they encounter resistance. Recognizing that these barriers are systemic rather than personal, they actively move past blunt enforcement to find real solutions. They transition into supportive and helpful collaborators, addressing ignorance with proactive communication campaigns, and overcoming friction by investing in making the standard path the absolute easiest path forward. How do you actually change how someone works? It comes down to 2 psychological levers, conditioning and motivation. First, conditioning. This is the experience of work where we learn through consequences. Think of it as shaping the path. Positive conditioning means making the desired path feel rewarding. For example, if using the approved cloud server is a one-click process, people will naturally gravitate toward it. In contrast, negative conditioning involves introducing healthy friction. This isn't about punishment, it's about making the undesired path more difficult, perhaps by requiring 10 forms and 3 meetings to use an unapproved alternative. Next is motivation, the internal drive to work. We can look at this through 2 lenses. Internal motivation comes from within the individual. It's the engineer's innate desire to do a good job, learn a new skill, or protect the company from a security breach. Then, external motivation involves outside factors, such as public recognition, bonuses, or meeting organizational goals set by leadership. The most powerful sweet spot for an architect is the intersection of internal motivation and positive conditioning. When an employee wants to do the right thing because they find it rewarding and the organization makes it easy to do, rigid enforcement becomes almost unnecessary. Winning hearts and minds, driving behavior over enforcing standards. When we think of an organization, our first instinct is often to view it as a strict, rule-based static machine. But the most successful approach is a crucial shift in perspective. An organization is really a living community of humans. With this as our foundation, we can focus on key lessons. First, remember that standards are a means, not an end. Our goal was to create a secure, efficient, and ultimately successful business, not just to achieve perfect list adherence. Second, we must make doing the right thing easy. When you create a path of least resistance, where the right way is also the easy way, people will naturally gravitate toward it. If everyone is breaking a rule, instead of doubling down on policing, we need to listen to the boots on the ground. The rule itself might be the problem, and a fix may be necessary. This demands a powerful mindset shift, from a culture of policing, where we're seen as bureaucratic roadblocks, to a culture of enabling, where we're seen as essential partners in growth. Think of the finish line parable. The standard only tells you where the finish line is. Driving the right behavior by enabling and engaging our human community is what actually gets the team to run the race. Enterprise architecture isn't actually about managing machines. It's about managing people. While standards provide the what, human behavior provides the how and the why. To truly succeed, we have to move past minimum compliance, simply checking a box to stay off the floor, and drive toward optimum compliance. This is where the magic happens, and quality and security thrive because the team is empowered to reach for the ceiling. When you see rules being broken, don't just shout the standards louder. Instead, identify the barriers, whether it's ignorance, legacy debt, or friction. The goal is to find the psychological sweet spot, a place where doing the right thing is both internally motivating and the easiest path to take. Ultimately, you have to choose your style. Don't be the administrative architect who fails the business by policing rigid rules. Be the ambassador architect, the bridge builder who listens to the boots on the ground and evolves standards to fit reality. By shifting from policing to enabling, you stop being a bureaucratic roadblock and start winning the hearts and minds that actually get the team across the finish line.